Hey folks, Coach Johnson here, IYC Coaching. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Today we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics, self-defense. So this video is titled, What Makes Self-Defense Good? I don't know if I use the quotations or not, but we'll see how it comes out in the thumbnail. And this is actually a really long topic I'm going to do a lot of work with here in the near future on kind of going over the details. But let me give you just a quick rundown. And I'll tell you this because I just, this video was shot middle of June 2021. Recently came back from an event where I got to witness many demonstrations of different styles of martial arts, met some cool folks, kind of a collaboration, a convention, if you will. And I've been in martial arts for a very long time. And one of my main missions when I was a student, junior, is I wanted to be good at defending myself, and by extension, good at defending other people as well. So if I have family or friends, or I had a female or companion or children, I want to make sure that they are as safe as possible in my care, or in my sphere of influence, if you will. So that was a big mission. That was a big part of my drive to start martial arts. And when I started martial arts, self-defense was, obviously the concept has been around since the beginning of time, but it was kind of assumed that if you did a martial art, karate, taekwondo, kung fu, that you were learning self-defense. And it's yes and no. If you do a martial art, you're learning how to develop power in your strikes, and you're developing your ability to defend some strikes and or grabs or holds, whatever it is, and you're developing your ability to judge distancing, and those are really important attributes in self-defense training. But as I traveled in my martial arts journey, I found that I got into full contact training because I wanted to be more realistic, and then I got into like jiu-jitsu and judo and things that were helped me round out my skill set. And then I eventually got into Krav Maga, and the reason for that was because I wanted to find the ability. I wanted to have the ability to teach my students, my tribe, if you will, the best self-defense I could. And after doing the research, that's what I came up with. Now, I'm not saying Krav Maga is the only style out there to teach self-defense. That is not what I'm saying. So before you other martial arts guys get your panties in a bunch, I'm not saying that, because it's not the truth necessarily. No style is going to make you better at self-defense. This is what I'm going to get to today. Here is what will help you determine whether your self-defense is good or not. And this is kind of true with really anything in life. Let me give you an analogy. Let's say, let me think of this. So you guys, I think everybody knows who Gordon Ramsay is. He's infamous for being a profanity-laden, hot-headed teacher, chef of all these reality shows. Now, let's say you have been in your kitchen and you have made pies and pastries and Parmesan, chicken Parmesan, whatever you've been cooking for years, and you learned, your mom taught you, or your aunt taught you, or your father taught you, or somebody taught you, and you're under the impression that you're a pretty good cook. Your friends tell you you're a good cook, kids tell you you're a good cook, your spouse tells you you're a good cook. So the evidence would suggest that you're a good cook. Then you move up levels. You move up to somebody who has actual restaurants, has worked in the profession of cooking at a large scale for high quality dining. Again, I've never cooked at a large scale for high quality dining, so I'm only speaking from what I've seen on TV, but the extrapolation is the same. And all of a sudden, you're pressure tested. You have somebody putting demands on you that you've never had before. You have somebody asking you to create dishes you've never made before, using ingredients you're not familiar with, using utensils and equipment that maybe you don't know. So you're overwhelmed sometimes, and you fail sometimes, and but you learn through the heat of battle how to come on the other side of this experience and become a really great cook, great chef. Well, martial arts is kind of the same thing. If you learn techniques and you learn strategies to defend against various attacks, punches, kicks, chokes, grabs, takedowns, ground fighting, whatever, but you've never really been tested. You've never really had somebody really aggressively try to overpower you as you apply techniques, or maybe they do a punch or a grab or a kick, and then as you're doing your response, they just stop attacking you. And this is what I'm getting to. So in order to know if your self-defense is actually going to work under pressure, you have to test it under pressure. And the challenge with this is, in self-defense, I mean, it's dangerous because you're hitting and kicking and twisting joints and doing things that are intentionally destructive to another person. So it's a real challenge to put enough pressure on somebody without causing serious injury to both parties. And this is why most people don't do it, because that's commercially difficult and not that viable. So most people do martial arts in this country and in first world countries as recreation. It's a great workout. It's kind of fun. You build camaraderie. And you learn some skills that could help you defend yourself. And many people have learned skills to defend themselves in all kinds of schools, good schools, bad schools, mediocre schools, whatever. But if you really want to know if your self-defense is good, you need to find ways to challenge it. And this is one of the reasons that, although like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is specifically, it basically specializes on the ground portion or the grappling portion of self-defense, which is an important portion. The ability to kind of train at a high resistance level and have an opponent who's actively fighting you on applying the techniques is one of the reasons it's really good for self-defense, because you get to see if your skill level is enough to overcome a resisting opponent. And it's cool, you can dial it back. So you can have an opponent who's going to give you 20% resistance, 50% resistance, or they have someone like in a competition, for example, where they are trying at their absolute maximum effort to stop you from launching your attack while at the same time launching their attack. Now, that obviously in a competition, the set of variables, is very small. You have someone who's probably about your size, usually your same gender. Obviously you have a rule set that it keeps you guys in the same page. So MMA is just an expansion of that. But MMA still, you have a referee, you have a timeline, you have someone about your size, approximately your skill level. So although those are elements of self-defense, that is not self-defense. Self-defense is usually asymmetric, which means there's usually a huge advantage to one side of the equation, and it's usually the attacker. It would make a lot of sense for someone to attack somebody who's much larger, stronger, and better prepared. It happens if people are, because people are nuts sometimes. But the reality is, if you're being attacked, the chances are your aggressor is probably larger and stronger. They may have more confidence in their skills level. Maybe they don't have it, but they have confidence because they're launching the attack. And they're probably going to launch the attack when it suits them, not when it suits you. You don't get to really, have a lot of say, like, I'm just not in the mood to defend myself today. Let's try again tomorrow. So, and again, that's a very difficult thing to replicate with intensity. And this is why most schools don't do it. Even a lot of Krav Maga schools. And I've been doing Krav Maga. I've been teaching Krav Maga for about 20 years now. And I trained with Master Gill recently. And although I was pretty confident in my self-defense skill and teaching it, and I've had many students over the years successfully defend themselves with stuff that I have taught them, Master Gill's approach is very much about pressure testing. And it's uncomfortable and it's humbling. But you should all do it if you want self-defense. If you just want to work in an echo chamber and continue to earn many stripes on your belt or patches on your uniform or, diplomas, which is great. Those are all important. Not important, but, earning levels and accomplishing goals is very important. That's fine. Some people don't want that challenge. They don't want to know. It's like the Matrix, which pill do you want to take? Do you want to know the truth or do you want to live in comfort? So it's an important distinction. And if you really honestly want to learn self-defense, you need to challenge yourself. And a good instructor can find ways to do that as safe as possible. It would be naive to think you're going to learn effective self-defense with zero contact. That is not going to happen. So if you're training actual self-defense and you've never gotten a bruise or a scrape or, had somebody hit you a little harder than you really wanted to, or maybe you got dropped on the floor or taken, if that's never happened to you, I can pretty much guarantee you're not learning really good self-defense. That being said, you don't need to beat the snot out of each other on a regular basis to learn self-defense either. But that's just my personal opinion of 30 some odd years of training. Take it for what it's worth. All right, so good self-defense is self-defense techniques, concepts, strategies that are applied not just statically, not just in a very sterile environment, but you're actually trying them as hard as you can against someone who's actively working against you. And again, there's safer ways to do that than others, but that's how you're going to tell. All right, hope that makes sense. Hope it don't hurt anybody's feelings. I really don't care. But this is how it works. Now, again, I'm going to have a whole series on this with Protect Krav Maga and the people that I train with, people who've experienced good and bad parts of martial arts. So look for that. And if you are interested in more self-defense, I will have a subscription program out very shortly called I Am Harder to Kill, part of our flat mission statement, because I'm in IYC coaching. We want to make it happier, healthier, and harder to kill. But self-defense is an important part of that. But health, honestly, is the biggest part. All right, Coach Jay out. If you found value in this, subscribe to my channel, give me a like, hit the bell notification. I'll talk to you soon.